What to do before my prodigal child comes back home? That is a great question. We're going to get into that, dig into that. If you have yet to subscribe to our channel, please do. We have hundreds of things that can help you there. And if you have a question about this or anything, put it in the box. We will get back to you as soon as possible. Having a prodigal child is one of the most painful things a parent can go through, and actually one of the most testing things a marriage can go through. Because having a prodigal can last years or even decades. Your child has your heart just by being a parent. They have your heart. You want the best for them, and yet they're making bad choices. They're walking away. They're doing things that you would never thought they would have ever done before in their lives. And their shame and guilt keeps them distant from you, and the embarrassment can get you trapped. So if you're not in our Parent Prodigals Facebook group, you want to get in that and get some support. If you don't have a Parent Prodigal Process group, start one in your local church or in your home or on your Facebook group, because so many parents have prodigals. And this is not something that the church is actually really good at. That's why we developed the book, the workbook, the video, to equip churches to be able to do more than just pray for Bobby and pray for Susie, but to let you have a place where you can be loved, encouraged, not blamed, and get strength before your prodigal comes home. So before they come home, first, get informed about your own healing process. Get the Parent Prodigal Process book, workbook, etc. Get in a group and get started on your own healing. Because the more healed you are from the trauma, and I am saying the word trauma, of having a prodigal, the better parent you will be. Secondly, look at your marriage and make sure it's structurally sound. Are we praying together? Are we sharing our feelings together? Not at each other, but with each other. Are we praising each other? Do we go on dates regularly? Is sex consistently? Are we grounded on our money issues? These are the basic structures of marriage. And why am I saying that this preparation is important? Because when they come home, if you have let's say uncharted territory that you haven't evaluated or you haven't worked on yet, they're going to push those buttons. And the stronger unity your marriage is the single best factor for your prodigal, because prodigals manipulate. And when they come home, they're not all cleaned up. And so they'll still try to manipulate the system, make mom feel sorry for me, ask her for money, don't tell dad, let's have secrets, triangulate, blame one parent for all the problems, and then the parents blame each other for the problems instead of the prodigal being the problem. And you probably understand that if you have a prodigal in your life. So the first thing is get informed about your process. Secondly, tighten up your marriage, make sure that it's doing well. If you need help with that, get that. And thirdly, establish the absolute bottom line boundaries together with your spouse, and have your prodigal sign off on these, and I mean almost physically sign off on these agreements to live in your house prior to them coming home. Now, I do understand there's the crisis. They get in the hospital, they get in a car accident, or they just show up on your front door crying and say, I need to come home. And I get that. The next day or two, have these boundaries in a drawer and walk them through it. And these boundaries, of course, can be, no drugs, no immoral relationships, no pornography in the house, in at a certain time, whatever's reasonable for you guys. If church is something you want them to go to, that needs to be established up front. So have these boundaries written down. Then get your pastor or some other spiritual couple, mentor couple that you appreciate or that your child respects. And within the first week, go over these boundaries with them, with your prodigal, and let the prodigal know that they're going to be accountable to this pastor or this couple about how they're keeping their boundaries with you all. So it doesn't just become, hey, mom and dad, I did what I want, too bad for you, suck it up, you want me to stay home, right? So I'm going to do what I want to do. No, it's like someone else saying, hey, wait a minute, you agreed to this. Why is it that you're putting your parents in pain? Why is it okay for you to act this way? and let someone else call them on the behavior of keeping the boundaries or not keeping them, and also giving them the positive feedback of, wow, you're really doing great. You're honoring your parents, and you're doing the things you need to be doing, and getting the affirmation outside of mom and dad is also a valuable thing for your child to experience. Now, another thing that's going to be happening is collateral damage with your other siblings. So having these boundaries discussed, that they're clear with everybody, but also that the other children are also following these boundaries. So it's not just unique to the prodigal, that it's just part of our family culture. But also allowing your kids to identify who they can talk to when they need to talk about the prodigal. Because mom and dad, they might feel like, well, you favor them, or you're really trying to get them to be good, so you're not going to really hear my heart and my pain. Well, who can you talk to when you're in pain about the prodigal? Do you feel safe enough with us? That's fine. They are still going to be messy when they come home, and prep your kids saying, hey, this might be 90, 120 days of trying to get these things ironed out and worked out. We're not going to abandon you. We're still going to go to your events and your games and be part of your life. This is going to take over everything. We love you. We're so proud of you, especially if you have the good child. Really validate them. Continue the disciplines that you have with them in their life, and let them continue to do the things that they're supposed to be doing, the activities and stuff like that. Now, your prodigal might be 16. They might be 55. It's really hard to tell when I do these kind of conversations how old your prodigal is, because prodigals can go on for many, many times. But if you can get these things cleared up before your prodigal comes home, and I would say one more thing, know what you're going to do as far as money and bills, and also probably know what you're thinking as far as length of time that they stay in the house. And that might be something you discuss later down the road with your spouse and each other, depending on their age or economic situation. But know if you're going to give them money, if that's a loan, if they expected to pay it back, what you expect for them to do as far as work, whether it's okay for them not to work, or do they need to go into a rehab for a while? Is that part of what you want done? So whatever it is that you feel like is necessary for your relationship to be helpful with the prodigal, do those things. And if you need help, call our office, 719-278-3708. And you might even want to do an intensive for yourself before your prodigal comes home, so you can address the hurt, the grief, the anger. And even we have some people who do the neuromodulation thing that's in our office, because you've been so traumatized, especially women, because women who experience trauma experience 3 times greater than men. And so they don't even feel like themselves. The thing that's a blessing to them is also, when it comes to PTSD, it's really painful because they experience trauma so much more. And it helps your brain to actually become neuroplastic again and be able to function instead of going into black and white and shutting down and not feeling like yourself and not being able to access your own resources. That's also an option for you to do before your prodigal comes home, so that you're the optimal. Make sure that you're taking care of your stress, your thyroid's checked, your hormones checked, you're exercising regularly, so that you can actually absorb some of the stress a prodigal will bring when they come home. Try to be in unity as much as possible as a couple. Do not make agreements with your prodigal outside of your spouse. I will talk to mom about that. I will talk to dad about that. Make sure that the agreements you make with your prodigal are in agreement. Well, shared enough about this, and there's so much more in the prodigal parent process you need to learn. And if you are that person, I highly recommend you get the resources, start a group, and get in healing for yourself. Do not be alone. Do not make it a secret. You don't have to tell everybody in church, but tell somebody. Even if it's just the people in the Facebook groups, even if you just get into a group online with someone. One of our counselors does groups for couples like this, so that you can let the weight off your shoulders a little bit, and don't blame yourself for their behavior. That's chapter early in the book, that it's not you. Being a prodigal is between them and God, not them and you. So until next time, please do what you need to do to take care of you.